I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Yashim, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Barakah, Kodash, Barakatah. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutation to the Akim around the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and sincerity. This is the brother Yawasop out of the GMS Cleveland camp, coming back at you with another lesson. Basically, I'm reading out of the MacArthur New Testament commentary. It's going through Matthew 1 and 7. And, I already explained how I came across the book. And although it goes off in a lot of ways, like I said, a lot of the brothers in the truth by now should know how to, eat the meat and spit out the bone. So we just dissecting the book because, like I said, it do go into some actual factual truth. So I got the Bible, my sword app up because, like I said, I've always been speaking on how I couldn't look up scriptures and, I couldn't give the proper edification. So now that I got this app and this Mobazine app, Most High has blessed me, Yahweh by Yashim, Yahweh shot the water, so I can actually, do a proper video because, like I said, I know how it is when you quoting scripture but don't know it exactly or can't go to it or can't edify. And even though brothers supposed to do a diligent search and, study to show that self-approved, at the end of the day, these is the tools that we need to, do our jobs as prophets of the Most High God. I'm going to continue on it's page 32 of this. The subtitle is The Chief Priest, and we in chapter 3. It's said, it's labeled or titled Fools and Wise Men. The Chief Priest. All Jewish priests were of the priestly tribe of Levi, and even more particularly descendants of Aaron, the first high priest. In some ways, the priests were like the Magi, having considerable political as well as religious power. First among the chief priests was the high priest. According to the Old Testament law, there was to be but one high priest at a time who served for life and whose special and unique duty was to enter the Holy of Holies once a year on the Day of Atonement and offer sacrifice for all people. But by the time of Mashiach, the office had become subject to political favoritism and even purchase. High priests were appointed and removed at the whim of various rulers. Consequently, there were often several living at one time, and though the ones who had been removed were often several Salakia. And though the ones who had been removed from office lost their highly Salakia, high priestly function, they usually kept the title as well as considerable prestige and power. So they're referring to Luke 3 and 2. So I'm going to go to that. Makes things a lot simpler. The water Yahweh by Yashim Yahweh Shah. So it's quoting Luke 3 and 2. Ananias and Caiaphas being the high priest, the word of Yahweh came unto John, the son of Zacharias, in the wilderness. The ruling high priest also presided over the Sanhedrin, a type of combined Senate and Supreme Court made up of 70 of the key Jewish religious leaders. And we know that word Jewish is what those fake Khazars use. I'm going to just start replacing that with Jews. Another of the chief priest was the captain of the temple, who was appointed by and responsible to the high priest. Among his powers approved by the Romans was that of arrest and imprisonment. He therefore was allowed to have a rather large contingent of soldiers, all Jews, at his disposal, who acted as the temple police. He ranked second to the high priest in authority. The others included among the chief priests were not a particular category, but were composed of various other leading influential priests, including the leaders of the daily and weekly course of priests, the temple treasurer, and other temple overseers and officials. Together with the high priest and the captain of the temple, they formed the priestly aristocracy, often referred to loosely as the chief priests. For the most part, these chief priests were Sadducees, whereas the normal priests were Pharisees. By New Testament times, they had become little more than a group of corrupt, religiously oriented politicians. From the time of Yahushua's birth to his crucifixion, they are shown by the gospel writers to have been in opposition to the true revelation and work of Yahweh Shai, or Yahweh by Yashim Yahweh Shai. This Scribes were primarily Pharisees, authorities on the law, scriptural and traditional, who were often referred to as lawyers. They had considerable prestige among Jews and were recognized as the key scholars of religious Judaism. And I heard brother, or the elder Malcolm would go into, Judaism, like the Judaism that those Khazars practice is not the Judaism, or is not the laws, statutes, and commandments that are actually inscribed in the Bible. I mean, like when you go and follow like some of the shit they do, like from the Talmud, I've seen and witnessed and actually came across information, heard them speak on how, they basically perform fellatio on a male child at a certain age when he's first, just weird shit, like they like I said, they primarily read out of that Talmud. That's how you know that they're not the people of the Most High God. Continuing, they were conservative, theologically held a literalistic view of Scripture, and were generally legalistic and strict in regard to both ceremonial and moral law. Those of the scribes who were Sadducees were liberal in their interpretation of Scripture, not believing in such things as the resurrection and angels, which is Acts 23:8. So I'm going to get that. For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. Whether conservative or liberal, however, the scribes of Yahushua's day were alike in their opposition to him. Herod called together all of those Jewish religious leaders, or the Israelite religious leaders, who were both politicians and theologians, in order to inquire of them where Hamashiach was to be born. The imperfect tense of inquire suggests a constant asking. That was in parentheses. Although they proved that they knew where his birth was predicted to be, parentheses, common knowledge among the Jews, which you can read in John 7:42, which I'll get. Hath not the scripture said that Mashiach cometh of the seed of David, and out of the town Bethlehem where David was? So, okay. They showed no belief or Salakia, special interest in the announcement of the Magi, that they had seen the star given as a sign of that birth. In any case, the chief priests and scribes told Herod what he wanted to know, referring to the specific passage, Micah 5:2, which I'll get. Micah. This was a prophecy Micah had foretold. Micah 5:2, but thou, Bethlehem, Ephrath, and that was supposed to be another name for Bethlehem, which we read out of this MacArthur's New Testament commentary. Though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting. Where the birthplace is predicted, out of Bethlehem will come forth a ruler. The last phrase, who will shepherd my people Israel, is not from Micah, but does express the emphasis of one who would rule. Either the Jews said this, or Matthew added the words as his own comment to indicate the kind of ruler Hamashiach would be. Though the popular idea of a shepherd is that of a kind, tender care, Psalms 23, a combination of a ruler, and it's in Hegmon, who will be shepherd, Pomanion, I'm assuming is Greek, shows that the shepherding function is more than tender care. It is a sovereign dominance. Nowhere is that more clear than by the use of the verb pamenino in Revelations 2:27, 12:5, and 19:15. In each of those verses, the verb is justifiably translated rule. Let's check that out. Let's put him to the test. Revelations. It said 2:27. And it said, the last phrase, who will shepherd my people Israel, is not ruler, the Christ. So, shall rule. So, The word rule, G4165, is what they said, Parmenio. And these are the words: to feed, to tend a flock, keep sheep, to rule, govern, of rulers, to furnish pasture for food, to nourish, to cherish one's body, to serve, serve the body, to supply the requisites for the soul's need. I'm gonna stop there.